Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video we are going to be diving deep on serviced accommodation, due diligence, pricing strategies, marketing strategies, and bringing in more revenue to your rent-to-rent business. So stay tuned, hit the like and subscribe, and we will get straight into it. Pricing strategies, how to come up with the nightly rate for your property. And the way to do that is heavy due diligence on the property. This might be hard to summarize in a 10-minute video, say, because on my students it's an hour and a half process, even longer. So the way to do it is go on the Airbnb map. Try and find similar sized properties to the one that you're looking at taking on. Zoom in, click on these. It's got to be in the immediate area, I would say half a mile max, to really get an idea of whether your property would work. So you're going to try and find similar sized properties. So if yours is a 3-bed with parking, I'd be looking at 2-bed and 4 beds and 3 beds with parking. It doesn't have to be an exact match. And click on these listings, go on the reviews. Are they booked for this weekend? Look at the calendar. Have they got bookings in the next 2 weeks? Some people look way too far in advance. Contractors and tourists, the bulk of them book within 2 weeks of going on their trip. So always look in the next 2 weeks, and a good sign is they're booked for this weekend and they've booked for the coming week and maybe a few bookings in the next month or so sporadically. If it's blocked continuously, then that is the host has blocked their calendar, okay? And the way to do it is just dive deep. Dive deep, look at the reviews, read the reviews. Then what we're going to do is click on the calendar, select 2 adults and pretend to book from Monday to Friday. And what nightly rate does that give you? And this is only if it's looking like a successful property. Write that nightly rate down and book it for a low season period, such as November or January, not August or July. Do you see what I mean? A low season time, and write that nightly rate down. Do that for as many properties that you can find which are similar to the one you're taking on in the immediate area. So if you found 5 properties and you've got all of their average nightly rates written down for 2 people for midweek in a low season, that's a conservative basis. So you're going to add up all of these nightly rates for the 5 properties. So you've got 125 here, 85 for this one, 195 for that one, 240 for this one, and maybe 75 for that one. Add them all up, divide by 5. That is your average nightly rate for that size property that you have found in that immediate area. Okay, so now you have the nightly rate. What you do is times that by 15, take away 18%, take away about £400, okay? Don't quote me on this. This is not advice, this is guidance. Take away £400. So that is on average the utilities for a serviced accommodation. Obviously, if you're taking on a much larger property, you need to increase that £400, but this is just a guide. So the nightly rate times 15, take away 18%, take away 400, and what's left is the rent that you can offer the landlord. So you're looking at breaking even of 50%, which is why I times it by 15. That's 15 days of the month. So the remaining 15 days is profit. All right, so we're looking to break even at 50% of the month booked. I hope that makes sense. So your nightly rate that you found times 15, take away 18%, take away utilities, is the rent you can offer to the landlord. And this is all based on a conservative basis as well. So when you are looking at renting it out on OTAs, which is Airbnb and Booking.com, it's a conservative basis for 125 a night, let's say, for 2 people in the low season. So here's what you do. You're going to advertise your property and people can book it for a minimum of 2 nights. Only advertise for a minimum of 2 nights. That eradicates parties. And 1 person is the same as 2 people. Set that up as well. So let's say your place can sleep 5 people. Here's where a pricing strategy comes in. You have based your numbers based on 2 people, okay? Booking in a bad time. Not bad time, low time. So if you get 4 people book your property from Monday to Friday, charge the 3rd person and the 4th person. So you're your base rate is based on minimum of 2 nights of 2 people. So like I said, even if one person books your place, it's going to be the price of 2 people. So your base rate is 2 people. And every extra person that stays is £25 per person per night on average. Include it more if you want, or have a different pricing strategy. But that's the pricing strategy I use, is any extra people that book, it's an extra £25 per person per night. That is how you can increase your nightly rate. Another way is have a rolling 2 months of these types of bookings where people can book 2 nights, 4 nights, 5 nights. Have it as a rolling 2 month. And anything after the 2 month period, have it as minimum of 7-day bookings. Obviously, it's more management for you, but when people are looking for long-term bookings, they're planning in advance. And if you're taking on bookings for like 3 nights, 2 nights, 4 nights, in 4 months' time, you've ruined your opportunity for collecting a long-term booking. And we'll go through long-term bookings in a minute. So that's one pricing strategy where you can bring in more revenue to your rent-to-rent business. Another way to bring in more revenue to your business is marketing outside of OTAs. So Comfy Workers, that's quite a popular one. Open Rent, Gumtree, Google. Put your place on Google Maps. So when people go on Google and put in hotels in Oxford, zoom in on the map, your place will be on there. They can click it and go direct to your website. So you're skipping the OTAs as well. That's just another strategy you can take. Another way of bringing in more revenue is through branding. So you can have your business logo throughout your serviced accommodations, and as you grow your portfolio, more people will be visiting your serviced accommodations and remember your branding. And also it is spread through word of mouth. A good example of branding is Premier Inn Travelodge. Another strategy is SEOs. Have a website and make sure all the keywords that people search when searching for accommodation in your area are included in your website, which will rank higher in online platforms such as Google, so it make your accommodation easier to find. Listing strategies, so you could put your properties on channel managers, so you're not independently managing Airbnb, Booking.com, VRBO, Expedia, all these types of sites. All you need to do is manage one platform, such as Avivo. That's a good channel manager, and you can change nightly rates, you can edit pictures, you can make all of these changes, change the pricing strategies on how, the nightly rate on this amount of people. You can change it on one site, and then it changes it on Airbnb, Booking.com, VRBO, Expedia, etc. That's just effective management. I highly recommend. It's not very expensive and it's so worth it because it saves so much time. Another strategy for listings is Open Rent, Comfy Workers, really encouraging those long-term bookings. And like I said earlier in the video, only have like a 2-month rolling period where you're collecting short-term bookings, and after the 2-month window have long-term bookings. And just make sure your property is on Open Rent, Comfy Workers. I'm sure there's others. That way you will be open for the long-term bookings, and that ultimately is what we're looking for, contractors to book long-term. That is where you can bring a lot more revenue into your rent-to-rent business. Direct bookings, we want to be encouraging these as much as possible. So in your serviced accommodations, you can have the Wi-Fi password, such as contact us directly, save 10%. You can have just a postcard saying, if you fancy staying again, please contact us directly, take this card and book with us, save 10%. Another way of bringing in more revenue to your rent-to-rent business is really focusing on the relationships you have with the landlords. Ultimately, if they're investors and they're looking to grow their portfolio, if you're delivering an excellent service to the landlord, they will 100% consider you for their company let next time. Another way is make sure your first picture that shows up on these OTAs are a really nice picture of the bedroom. Not too zoomed in on the bed, like they need to see the whole room. You see a lot of these properties advertised and all it does is show the property itself. People are looking somewhere to sleep, to stay. It doesn't matter what the property looks like. So make sure it's a showstopper picture, so that will ultimately attract more people to click on your listing. These are just a few tips and best practices that I teach. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one.